Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with a daily technical update. It is Wednesday, it is the 10th of December. As you can hear, my voice is still a little bit rusty, but I think we should be okay. So this video is for educational purpose only. There's no advice or recommendation whatsoever intended. It is purely to demonstrate how I try to read the market and try to teach you guys how to read the market using technical analysis. Also, I have to mention I'm sitting in a hotel room in London. The connection is not as stable as it should be and not as fast as I'm used to. So bear with me if some of the charts are loading a little bit slowly. Alright, let's start with the overall market. Nasdaq 100 yesterday trying again to get back above the 25,663 resistance there. RSI still being rejected at 60 threshold, so that is key that it closes above the RSI 60 threshold to establish or confirm a bullish trend. So that's what we are looking for here the next few days. What could be interesting also to look at is that key to look at is that the 55 moving average is rising. The 21 seems to be skidding off and still rising here, skidding off the 55. So let's see here the next couple of days if it can really push higher. It is a little bit fragile. Here pre-market looking at the future, it's basically unchanged. RSI is still below the 60 threshold. Needs to push higher and close above 60 threshold. Same picture on S&P 500, obviously rejected twice. It's not a very good sign, so we are in a little bit of a limbo here on the knife's edge, and it never closed above the resistance there at 6,870. So really also on a knife's edge there. Pre-market we are basically unchanged, so also here keep an eye on what's going on out to it. I think everyone is waiting for tomorrow. No, tonight. I think it is tonight. FOMC meeting. Will they cut the rate, and what are they going to say? That will be probably something to watch for the market. Moving on to the small caps, basically also unchanged there. So let's have a look at what went on in Asia this morning. We had a little bit of bounce in Seng, still above the 25,145 key support. If it takes out that, well, then there's room down to around the 200 moving average and the 24,474 support area. The Nikkei is dancing around the 61.8 retracement there, spiking a little bit higher. I think eventually it will move higher, but it could maybe also be affected by what's going on in US later tonight. So maybe we'll have a move in the market tomorrow. This is the future, so of course it's trading almost 24 hours, I think, and so keep an eye on what's going on there. It could be interesting to see also. Will it close back above 60 threshold there on the RSI? In European session yesterday, we sat back a little bit. We are now open in Europe here. EUROStoxx50 got rejected once again here at the 786 retracement. We could see a little bit of a setback down to 5,666, maybe a little bit lower down to the 55 moving average and 5,645 maybe. We need RSI to get back above 60 threshold and this falling trend line there to re-establish the bullish sentiment. It's still there, but it is a little bit fragile. I need to take out the peak from yesterday. Here on the DAX index, sat back a little bit this morning here, but it's testing the upper part of the cloud. RSI rejected at the 60 threshold, so that is also key to watch. Can it close back above or not? If it can do so, and I wouldn't be too surprised that it will do it. Maybe not this week, maybe next week, but keep an eye on it, because we are above the 55 moving average and we are above the 100 moving average. 55 is rising, 100 is declining, so a little bit of indecision there, but as we can see, we have established a bullish trend. It's just a question, can it actually follow through? Here on the DAX, CFD got rejected there at 786 retracement and the upper part of the cloud, so a little bit of a setback, and also rejected there on the 60 threshold. Moving on to the euro dollar, has been set back a little bit, sliding back a little bit after breaking higher here and establishing a higher high, higher low, higher high, and a little bit of setback. We are in a positive sentiment with the RSI in a positive territory, and it could of course also be moved later today with the FOMC meeting announcement later tonight. And but we are in a bullish trend, confirmed bullish trend, and there is room up to 117.30 short term. Some resistance at 117, so in this area here, if it takes out 117.30, well, then there is suddenly room much higher to much higher levels, but let's see about what that will mean. If it slides back below the cloud area here and the 55 moving average, maybe it then will slide even lower, but then we have a different situation we need to talk about. The sterling dollar pair also sliding back after recent 786 retracement here, just at 133.37, a little bit higher than that, and then setting back. You can see the 100 and the 55 moving average sliding lower, but I wouldn't be surprised that it will slowly crawl around or move around here, given the fact that we also have positive sentiment on the RSI, indicating actually higher levels, and we do have higher low, higher high, higher low, and so on, and a bullish trend building there. It's not the strongest one, it's not that convincing, but nevertheless it's there, so it has to be observed, and bear that in mind. Euro sterling, on the other hand, has been a little bit depressed lately with a bearish correction. However, the RSI has been projected there or bounced off the 40 threshold, so it's still technically in a positive sentiment, testing its own falling trend line there. If it moves back above, well, then there's a chance that it can crawl higher towards 88 level. If it takes out 88 and stays above, well, then we have a bullish trend there also. So these three pairs, it's like it could be a timing issue also, which one is moving in which direction. So keep an eye on those three pairs to see which one will kind of moving that direction. If it takes out the lows here from a few days ago at 87.10, well, then downtrend is back in session with a potential down to 86.50. Yen pairs are crawling higher here the past few days, and dollar yen has bounced strongly towards the 786 retracement 157. I think it will take out the peak there also, given the fact that RSI is still positive and there's no divergence. You can see the peak here is higher here, and that also supports higher levels on the market. So unless it's the slides back below 154.30, but there's no sign that it will do that at the moment. Looking at the other yen pairs, we have euro yen pushing higher, and we have to go back all the way to 1990s to see levels like this again, but we are pushing higher, and we can kind of guesstimate how much it will push this time after this little correction here, and say, okay, excuse me, there's room up to 183.30, maybe even 184 here short term. Little bit stressed now, as we can see. RSI is not making a new high where the market has made the new high. A little bit stressed, but the overall picture is again also here on the medium term. We are pushing higher, and there's no divergence on the weekly, so it is looking higher. Moving on to Aussie yen, also pushing higher, and here we can look at the weekly to get a little bit of guidance. There's a little bit of resistance here, just below 105. I think we'll reach that fairly soon. We have been very, very close to. We are also here very short term, a little bit stressed. As you can see, the RSI didn't get back up all the way to this peak here. So here, but it's very close to cancel its divergence, its imbalance. So if it moves higher and takes out that horizontal line here, and this peak here on the RSI, it has cancelled that, and then there is potential higher for Aussie yen. And Aussie yen, as you can see here on the weekly, well, there is no divergence, indicating likely higher levels. Sterling yen breaking above its RSI falling trend line after the strong move here the past 2 days, and there's potential higher also for sterling yen. and as we can see, it is very close to, if it hasn't taken, it has actually taken out that peak there back from 2004 and pushing higher, and I think it will push higher in the coming days and weeks. So trust the trend, RSI above here, and if it also takes out the peak over there, well, then there's potential higher. It will indicate that there's potential higher for sterling yen. Aussie dollar keeps crawling slowly higher, and there's room up to 67 before I think we will see a larger correction. As long as it stays above 66, that spike down there, then we could have a correction coming in. So keep an eye on that also if it starts forming a top and reversal pattern. But for now, fairly strong positive sentiment on the RSI, no divergence indicating likely higher levels. Dollar Canada, taking a breather after this massive sell-off there on the 5th of December, but it is in a bearish trend, negative sentiment pointing to lower levels, and we could see lower levels to around 137.20, 137, and especially if it takes out the lows there from the 8th of December at 137.99, so just below 138. Sterling Canada, the forever volatile currency pair, if it takes out the lows here from a few days ago, just around 183.75, well, then I think we will see a push lower to 181 area. Could bounce a little bit here the next few days, but look at this, 55 declining, and now moving below the 100 moving average, which is also slightly declining. That is not a bullish sign, to say the least, and we have the 200 also slowly turning around. So I think we will maybe see within a few days another sell-off lower for Sterling Canada. Swiss franc stalling a little bit after hitting the resistance there just below 94, 93, 95. A little bit of a setback. However, positive sentiment and no divergence on the RSI indicating higher levels. So if it takes out that peak there from a few days ago, well, then there's room up to 94.30, 94.40. But we can see them. 200 moving average is a little bit weighing on it here, but see 100 moving around, 50 moving around. So the underlying trend is bullish on Euro Swiss. Dollar Swiss rejected here at the 786 retracement there at 80.78, spiked a little bit above, a little bit of a setback. So key question is, what will it do? Will it slide back lower here? We are actually in a positive sentiment. Excuse me. But it needs to take out that little spike up there a few days ago at 80.85. If it does, then I think it will also take out the peak there and push up to 81.50. But then we have the 200 moving average coming down there, kind of putting a lid on it. So a little bit in a limbo here for dollar Swiss. You can argue and say the same thing with the dollar index. It can't really get away from this 98, 87, this support area here, but the 55 moving average giving some support. You can see it's kind of locked in between the 200 moving average coming down there, the 55 and the 100 coming up there, so it's kind of squeezing it. Still positive sentiment on the RSI, but if it takes out the low there at 98.72, then we're looking at 98.35, possibly a lower. But let's see here. It's really hard to say which direction. It needs to crawl back above 99.35. Maybe then it can slowly bounce higher towards 99.73. But really also kind of which way you want to go out of this squeeze that is basically in at the moment. Moving on to metals and gold. Dancing sideways gold there really. Can't make up its mind. Should I slide lower and test the falling trend line, or should I take out the 42.65 there? If it takes out the 42.65, which I believe it will eventually, but again, this is not just what I believe. It's just after it's breaking this falling trend line. So I'm actually still in a bullish trend, higher, high, higher, low, higher, high. So what will it do next? That is key to watch. So I want confirmation, still positive sentiment on the RSI, no divergence indicating likely higher levels. Let's move on to silver, that has really been on fire lately in a strong bullish trend, higher high, higher low, higher high. pushing up to the 176.4 projection of this correction there. Sitting back a little bit, we are about $60, which we have talked about for so long that it would possibly or quite possibly do. RSI showing divergence, but see it's breaking above its falling trend line there, so that means it could follow through. And on weekly you see really stretched there, but I think there could be a little bit more into it, maybe up to around 63.40 possibly. So as long as it stays above stays above 56.40, it's still in a bullish trend. But be careful, it's quite volatile, so have your stops ready. Platinum slowly maybe crawling higher here. It is in a bullish trend. It just needs to reconfirm it, taking out the peak up there at 70.34. RSI is still positive. There is slightly divergence, as you can see, it's declining there. But if it moves back above its falling trend line, then I think we will see, and I think we will see it higher eventually, given all the fact that we are about a cloud, we're above 55 moving average. Copper, that's set back here the past few days, bouncing a little bit, still in a bullish trend. 561 is likely the next target here, which is the 786 retracement, this massive sell-off we saw back there. It's not the strongest resistance, it's just a key area to watch. If it also crawls above that, then there's potential back to the previous peak there, just below 596. Moving on to treasury yields, US 10-year treasury yields, and now it seems like, oh, there we are. No, sorry, I was a little bit premature there. Of course, it's energy, and we have crude oil sliding lower, and I think it is still in a bearish trend. I did just had a little bit of a bounce there, rejected at the 55 moving average, then the 61.8 retracement there at 60.5, and rejected, so it's still in a bearish trend, and I think we'll see lower levels here in the coming days and weeks. Same picture on Brent, of course, already very close to its spike down there, actually closed lower, and I think it will also crawl lower in the coming days and weeks. The European nat gas, well, we've talked about it so many times, negative sentiment, bearish trend. There's potential down to around 26-25, which we have to go a couple of years back to see these levels. Now we have a correction in the US nat gas space. Massive sell-off here the past few days, continuing to 450 to 786 retracement, the last leg up there. If it takes out that, well, the key support is, of course, down here at just above 420, 423. If it takes out, then we have a completely different situation. However, still positive sentiment on the RSI with that little spike up there, so we could see a bounce around. And if we're looking at the weekly chart, we can also see, well, it is still, there's no strong resistance up there, but nevertheless it just set back anyway, and we talk about it, that could occur. I think it will bounce from these levels, and then we will see a little bit bounce higher. And now to yields. So now US 10-year treasury yields is flirting with the 420 key resistance, and that is a key level. RSI back in positive sentiment, above 60 threshold, indicating likely higher levels on the US 10-year. So that will be key. Also, how will it react tonight after the FOMC? That will be key to watch. But then suddenly there's room higher on the medium term towards 430, and these peaks around here, 435 area. We have the 200 moving average kind of putting a little bit of lid on it, but it's not the strongest one, so there could be a potential higher. And what about in Europe? Let's see, in Europe we have EU10 crawling higher, and we talked about in the past couple of days, 293, 294, these peaks there, and it seems like that's where we are headed. A little bit stressed on the RSI though, but no divergence indicating likely higher levels. UK still keeps crawling higher towards the 460 resistance area. Japanese 10 stalling a little bit, could still touch the 2% fairly soon. You can see positive sentiment, no divergence on the RSI, supporting higher levels. Crypto spiked higher overnight above this one. So, but I need to close above it, and you can say, is there a close on crypto? Not really. It's just an artificial one. So we have actually established very short term a little bit of bullish trend with potential up to around 98, 99. Unless it suddenly slides back and takes out the lows here from a couple of days ago, then we can see it sliding lower again. So a little bit of limbo there. However, we have Ethereum establishing a bullish trend, knocking on the 60 threshold on the RSI. Just got rejected there at the 55 moving average, but I think we will see it pushing higher to around 3600. Alright, that's all for today, and I'll be back again tomorrow at my usual office, and maybe also a little bit of better sound and better internet connection. Be careful out there. Talk to you then.